glad to know you're still there. It's still The Breakfast on Plus TV Africa, and right now we're worried about what allegations came from the U.S. about USAID funding terrorism. The Nigerian Senate has summoned the National Security Advisor, OKHIDIVBIE, along with the heads of the National Intelligence Agency, NIA, and the Defense Intelligence Agency, DIA, to investigate allegations that the United States Agency for International Development, USAID, is involved in funding terrorist groups, including Boko Haram. The motion raised by Senator Aline Dume comes after a viral video featuring U.S. Congressman Scott Perry, who accused USAID of financing terrorist organizations globally. This follows concerns raised by Nigeria's Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, about foreign organizations supporting terrorism in the country. In related news, USAID-linked NGOs in Nigeria received conflicting letters regarding aid funding after U.S. President Donald Trump took office. The freeze in aid has caused significant uncertainty for humanitarian workers and affected essential life-saving programs. Our guest this morning is Ambassador Dr. OAMIEN Roy OKHIDIVBIE. I'm sure I murdered that. National Secretary, retired members of Nigerian Armed Forces, REMENAF. Good morning and welcome to the program, sir. All right, it's not in my place to say what it is. I'd like to hear the opinion of Dr. Roy talk to us. Having been an insider, and we need to know what the challenges are fighting Boko Haram and other insurgencies and bandits in Nigeria. And since this allegation has come, let us know if he has some insight into it and what he feels about this allegation and the way forward for Nigerians. Can you hear me now, Doctor?
Yes. Okay. Back online, sir.
Okay, so this allegation has been flying around. Scott Perry, the congressman in the U.S., has said that their own agency, aid agency, has been sponsoring terrorism around the world, including Boko Haram. I'd like to hear your take on this accusation before we move on to other matters.
Okay, well, thank you very much for the opportunity. And I think this issue is getting overflowed without any action being taken on ground to validate, intervene, and resolve. So the more we talk, the more opportunities to detect and validate is being run out. Now, you remember that every nation of the world, they must try to create dominance. But the incapacity level of the African leaders has made our resources and all our wherewithal to be under the control of foreign nations. So it's unfortunate that such an allegation is coming out instead of us to detect it ourselves and put it as an accusation. You know, so at this point, we are still the victim, not to the Western world, but to ourselves.
But now the National Assembly has invited the intelligence chiefs to come and explain that. Do you think anything will come out of that? Or is that the first step that you would have wanted in this intervention and finding out that you're talking about right now?
Okay, thank you very much. What the National Assembly is doing right now is still in a caricature approach. Let me explain. Now, you are calling on the NSA and the DSS to give you information that they are supposed to have given you before now. The reporting of the NSA and the DSS is continuous. Either you do it quarterly, monthly, depending on the gravity of the insecurity or the threat pattern. You know, so the reporting is supposed to be continuous. So are you calling them to ask them, why is this not in your reports that you have been sending to us? So if you are calling them to say, go and check this, it is wrong. You are supposed to be indicting them that such activities are not in their reports. So I don't even know also why the Senate is not conducting private investigation. There are so many of us that are into private investigations in Nigeria, both retired DSS, police, and every private citizen that have security expertise. They could do private investigation and submit a report to the DSS, to the Senate. So calling the NSA and the DSS, it becomes obvious that we are not ready to intervene in this matter on behalf of Nigerians.
It worried me as well. This morning I was also asking, one of the headlines said that Nigeria may lose $603 million fund because of this USAID if whatever the allegations are true and they cut their aid to Nigeria. And this year's budget was supposed to cover a lot in defense and all that. So it made us look like, okay, we are between the devil and the deep blue sea, instead of us taking a deliberate action to find out what the truth is and all that. So instead of calling the NSA and the DSS and all that, you have suggested that private investigation should have been done. Done by who? By the private people, or the same people that are being invited here? Or how do we navigate through this?
Okay, let me assure you that members of the Senate and the House of Reps, they were nominated and selected from the constituencies. Is that correct?
Yes.
Now, the members of the constituencies that nominated and selected and referred these people to be placed in such positions, are they not still in contact with those people? Are projects in those communities where they come from? So can't they be the ones to ascertain if monies allocated for welfare of refugees is actually deployed for welfare of refugees? Who is running the audits? There are Nigerian citizens that are victims that are in refugee camps. There are Nigerian citizens that are working with USAID in relevant key positions. Why are those kind of people not approached to say, this is national call, come and give us information that will show us what is actually happening on ground?
Because this is not the source of the income. If let's say 100 billion is budgeted from America, and part of that money is supposed to go to clandestine activities that may not be known, it is only the ones that we are supposed to know that comes to us, and it will be deployed accordingly. It may be deployed accordingly. Any other one that goes to Boko Haram or that will not be told to us. We will not know that it is coming into Nigeria and it is being deployed into something else that we do not know. So how can the audit from within Nigeria yield any results?
Why is it that the ones that were done clandestine and diverted beyond the delivery to the refugee camps, why are they not?
No. The question is, that if money is budgeted from America, we may not know the one that is budgeted for clandestine activities. We will only know the ones that are budgeted for other humanitarian activities that serve as a front, if this allegation is true, that serve as a front that enables them enter Nigeria. So of what good will the audit within Nigeria do to find out whether this allegation is true?
You don't understand the power of private investigation. That is one. Two, you don't also, we are not capturing the effectiveness of the DSS and the other agencies. Look, if we want to know if they are deploying illegally beyond what they deploy to refugee and open source, we can know. Nigerians are involved in every step of the way. We have Nigerians that have compromised. We can monitor Nigerians that are working with these agencies. We can monitor Nigerians that are working at key positions with these agencies and uproot the activities that are going on in the dark. That is the work of our own covert intelligence organizations. It's not so difficult, because you must do things electronically. You must do things financially through the financial platforms. You must do things physically. You must move from point A to B. So you will be monitored. Your activities will be monitored for national security. So if we see that they are being used and they are effectively coordinating clandestine moves, then who are the Nigerians that are involved? Why are they not monitored? If you say the other people have immunity as international workers, the Nigerians there are your key angle to detecting.
Okay, but what are some of the challenges that might be faced by, if this investigation were to be carried out, what are some of the challenges? Because we've heard, even Christopher Musa has said that, foreign bodies are sponsoring Boko Haram, and he's not the only one who has said this. In the past, these things have been said also, but it seems as if there's a clock somewhere that is hindering the proper investigation and the proper action to be taken.
We are already aware that we have the judiciary that had some positive of actions. You know, the judiciary itself is a body that should instruct on the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Now, if the judiciary does not have the willpower and the government does not behove upon the judiciary to institute control and deliver interpretations to the Constitution, definitely there is a lacuna. So if we have a situation where we need to capture the relevance of security and monitoring, then we need patriotic Nigerians in appropriate offices to ensure that they don't give out to the devil's wing. Now, let's look at the people that are employed. Let's look at the rules of engagement as a staff. Let's look at your loyalty pattern. Who are you loyal to? Your employer or your country? Then you begin to see results, because all the people that have been talking about this activity have not shown to the government what they should do.
It's interesting. Okay. But this is a very dicey situation. On the one hand, they're talking about losing money. On the other hand, they're talking about our lives that are being lost to Boko Haram because of the sponsorship from this foreign organization. And it may not only be this aid organization from the U.S., it may also be from other foreign bodies that have interest in Nigeria and all that. And you have made some suggestions that should be done. So now the activity of the National Assembly seems to be a futile one, because according to you, it should have been an indictment on these people. But now that they are not being indicted, from that hearing, what are you expecting to get? From that hearing, what are you expecting? What kind of questions are you expecting for these intelligence chiefs that are being invited to the National Assembly that you think will set the tone for the effective investigation and action that needs to be taken against on this issue?
I don't think anything will come out of it. It's going to be an exercise in futility. And I'm going to tax journalists, media houses, to follow closely, to see what was presented, what was asked, what was presented, what was mandated to be done. And follow closely. You will see that is an exercise in futility. Why do I say so? All the information that we need, they are already in the public space. That's number one. Number two, we are talking about our territorial integrity. We have people, Nigerians, everywhere. The DSS can deploy covert officers to penetrate into all of these angles. In fact, I wonder why agencies will come to Nigeria and recruit staff, and they are not even recruiting covert officers of the DSS, the DMI, and all the other agencies that have covert intelligence units. Even the police, They have covert intelligence units. Why are these NGOs not made to employ some of these covert officers, and they can put their eyes down and begin to give reports? So when we begin to see deviation, we immediately take it up against them. These things are open, these things are easy, but where is the willpower to achieve it?
Okay, just as a general thing, what do you think is the greatest challenge fighting insurgency and banditry in Nigeria?
The number one challenge that we have is to put penalties against the crime. Right now, as I speak to you, the Chief of Defense Staff is releasing over 300, also, I think you have the news, of repentant terrorists. Boko Haram, ISIS, ISWAP, and whatever.
Over 700. They say they are
reintegrating,
de-radicalizing them and reintegrating them into society.
You know, when you use that word, sir, that person now has a right to join the police, to join the military. And local government chairmen used to send lists of people that should be recruited in the police, in the military. Now, can you see the lacuna of threats that we are creating for ourselves? If me, as a bandit leader or a terrorist leader, I tell 10 of my men, go and confess, go and repent, go through the radicalization process, and come back out as a repentant terrorist and join any of the agencies and become our man. Tell me, we think this thing is just a joke? These are lives being lost. This is simple intelligence, and we are recycling people, giving them a green card that they are now repentant and they can do as they will in Nigeria.
Okay, so you wouldn't have suggested that de-radicalization. What would you have done when people said they were repentant and they came to you? If you were having that power to decide, what would you do?
In Nigeria, we use ethnicity, religion, and politics to destroy the rule of law. Now, because of the Niger Delta militants, what would we call it? That some of them were sent abroad for school and all that.
Amnesty.
Amnesty, thank you. That is when we started this de-radicalization. Because the North will also want to say, we want our own people that are repenting. These are terrorists. Now, let's look at the purpose of the de-radicalization. If I'm a terrorist, I am caught in the act. We have the prison services. We have the control of the correctional center. We have the criminal justice system. Why not allow these people go through the criminal justice system and let the judge now declare that because you repented and confessed, you are going for life imprisonment, not death? Why not go for life imprisonment? Why not go for 40 years in prison? So that before they come out, they are already old and rickety, and they cannot take up arms against the state anymore. It will serve as a deterrent. Why are we always using religion, politics, and ethnicity to deviate from the rule of law? It's a challenge in Nigeria.
I do hope that we'll get to that point where these things that you've mentioned will not be hindrances to the rule of law, because when we fail to respect the rule of law, then we are in anarchy, as it were. We'd like to thank you, Ambassador, for coming on the show this morning. We wish that we had more time, but I'm sure we'll re-invite you another time to come and throw light on some of these things that we have discussed, especially as it has to do with private investigations and the role they can play in the security of our nation. Thank you so much for your time this morning. We'll be talking with Dr. OAMIEN OKHIDIVBIE, National Secretary, retired members of Nigerian Armed Forces, REMENAF. We were talking about the allegations against USAID that they've been sponsoring terrorism in Nigeria, and he was trying to proffer some solutions, or he proffered some solutions to the whole imbroglio. We hope that the people that matter will be listening and they will take the right action. We'll take a short break now. When we return, we're going to be discussing another hot topic, the last hot topic for the day, which will be about the crisis in Osun State, the political crisis in Osun State. Stay with us.